Welcome to the Junkyard Love Podcast.
At what age do we learn how to have better conversations? At what age do we learn to have better conversations with ourselves?
What's up, mermaid men? This is Barnacle Boy, also known as your host of the Junkyard Love Podcast, Jake Rines. This is me. Welcome. I'm excited to have this episode with Ricky. It was a great convo. I loved catching up with Ricky. Such a great guy. His energy is just... you're never not smiling when you're talking to the guy. He's just awesome. Lots of good info. Before we get going, I always love to start the podcast with a little chunk of info, a little knowledge, a little nugget of information that I have stumbled across or that I think is somehow relevant to what's going on right now. Typically, it has nothing to do with the guest or the conversation proceeding. It's just like a little contemplative soundbite. And so today I actually dug up a poem of mine and I gave it a little lo-fi vibe. I put on lo-fi in the background with some rain noises and recorded it like so it has this effect. I mean, maybe it's just going to sound like a turd recording and I'm just calling that lo-fi, but there you are anyway. So this is a contemplative thought poem piece that I wrote. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying that I'm a professional writer, but I am saying it's something that I've done, and here it is. Enjoy the contemplative thought poem, and then enjoy the episode with I just got Rick rolled with Ricky Navarrete. Make it more perfect. Arrange a series of events and preceding emotions in a manner that lines up with the most comfortable experience for the participant. We want the maximum amount of fluent, feel-good biochemical inner responses to our outer environment. We hate discomfort. A human being grows through pain, change, a new idea, a new experience, a choice to grow towards the uncertain or remain in the known. Why is it that we do what we do? Why is it that sometimes we're the same and sometimes we're new? Where within my body lies the soul, and is that me? If I never changed, I'd still be an infant. How do my bones know to grow? Why is there no room for my wisdom teeth, and shouldn't I be wise enough to know? Are we sure we can understand evolution as evolution? What is it that all of humanity is growing towards? If love is the butterfly after our cocoon of survival, what choice do any of us have but when? When do I grow the mind to correlate with the body? In which way do I grow? In which way do I grow? In which way do I grow? If I'm not my thoughts, but rather the observer, what within me chooses to stay or go further? I suppose I am. Simply that I am. I suppose I am. That I am.
I always like writing everything down. I always have anything and everything I do. I'm like everything. Like
I have days of notes. That whole over there, that corner, is just like stacks and stacks of paper. Because I do a lot of writing.
Yeah.
But I do a lot of like while I listen to podcasts and listen to stuff, I take notes because it's not so much that I'm going to look at it later and like study it or anything. It's a lot of the times it just helps me actually stay focused on what I'm trying to do. And like my brain remembers things. Like, so if I'm listening and like it's a neuroscientist and he says like this cool thing about habit change, I'll like write that down. And so, because it actually interested me, and it'll help me have one like almost anchor to remember about that particular subject. Yeah. So it's funny because note taking, I feel like a lot of times we're so used to like school, like, oh, you got to take notes for the test. So you got to turn it in, or you got to take notes so you don't fail the test. But it's like notes are just a better way of kind of remembering thing in the moment too. Like even if you don't look at it later.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, because it's like with like shaken baby syndrome, like my brain, like how I talk and like how my brain don't communicate with each other. But with me writing down something, my brain acknowledges it.
Oh, it clicks
and
it
listening. It, but through speech or like trying to like talk about it, I don't remember it as well. But when I write it down, my brain acknowledges it better.
Right.
So that's right there. That's why
there's a ton of science behind that too. I just bought it a couple days ago. Jim Quick's new book. Man, it was on the tip of my tongue, I thought. But Jim Quick, he's like a memory expert. He like trains a bunch of like actors and stuff, and like he's worked with like presidents to like remember speeches and all these things. He wrote about Limitless, I think is the name of the book. But he talks about stuff like that, like different ways of taking notes, different ways of, sometimes you can like draw a line in the middle of a piece of paper and write like exact wording on the right that you hear, and on the left you can write just kind of like your own little jot down little words that help you. It's like a cool little hack. But so Ricky Navarrete, or are you ready, or are you never ready, or
I'm ready.
Okay. You were just talking about we are recording. You were just talking about shaken baby syndrome, so I want to talk about that. But I would like to do, before we go about that, I would like to talk about weightlifting. So I feel like originally we had discussed, I was thinking like you have so much to offer the world in the weightlifting view of things, like powerlifting, all this strong stuff. I was talking to you about basically someone who doesn't know anything about weightlifting. How can we get them interested in it? Or somebody who like what are the aspects of it? What's like the brotherhood of it that people may not understand? Those sort of things. So I guess we can go back. Let's go back to where it all began. So before the baby shaken syndrome, before the or after that rather.
Yeah.
What got you into weightlifting? And then if you want to do maybe a little bit of like a bio when it comes to that too.
Okay. So start out growing up, just complete fat piece of shit. Just played video games, do nothing, did what I want. Pop-Tarts in the morning, like 3 or 4 bags, whole box of cereal. Just didn't do anything. I just wasn't driven because of the situation I was in, which we'll get in later. And just free reign. But it was like high school, you start liking girls and like kind of figure out stuff. And, I was kind of morbidly obese, I would say, like 230 at 5'11", but, body index of like 30%. And I just wanted to change my attitude as well. Because I seen, in high school, you got different, like you got Huntington and then Cowleman coming together, and you get to see all those kids too, and just kind of like their attitudes and like sports. And I just kind of want to be more like, I don't know, something just kind of clicked in my head. I just want to be like more active. I want the physical appear, and like, you see those people, you go to a game, you're like, holy shit, like you're just driven,
What was your sport? Football?
Football, yeah, football. And I trained for that. Football. I wasn't the best. Super like nearsighted, and I didn't wear glasses because I was super embarrassed, and I was already I was fat. This is like 8th to 9th grade, and I just didn't wear glasses, and I probably could have done a little better if I would actually wear contacts or something. But again, my situation, I just couldn't afford it.
Yeah, right.
And but anyways, so yeah, just football. Like it really, and then when that 9th grade year, was it 2005? I did some double days, dog days, and start practicing and got to know everybody and super cool people, and Mr. Himes, Coach Sunday, Coach Phillips, all those guys really took initiative of me to get better, and I really wanted it, so I just started training every day, running, ab routine. I kind of just jumped right into it.
Yeah.
And that was pretty hard on my body. I would say my knees were pretty wrecked, my lower back, but that doesn't have to be for everybody. Like how I did it, I just wanted to change it. I made it all of a sudden. But that's how I am. If I want something, I just dive right into it,
right,
with somebody's help or without somebody's help. And I would say, for somebody like new, I would be more like getting into habits. It's all about habits. And like for me, since I was doing it since 2005, it became a habit. Way to eat, how much I'm supposed to eat. It varies for everybody and what you're active or what you do for a career. If you sit down or if you're on ladders all day and carrying stuff, or you're digging holes for a living, or you're in the heat, or you're in an office all day. But anyways, like for me, I don't eat super bunch. On the weekends, maybe splurge, have a couple.
You don't eat four things of Pop-Tarts in the morning anymore?
No, I don't. I was like 3,500 calories, 3,800, but that's mostly like ground beef, rice, and like 8 servings of vegetables a day. Even more than that. It's about balance. What we used to know about the periodic table, or the food table, not periodic table, is way different 30 years ago to now. And we're like how much meat we're supposed to eat versus vegetables and whatnot. And that's definitely something to learn. Just knowing like what your fist, like a piece of steak that's size of your fist and how many calories that is. What's really fatty, like pork sausage versus turkey sausage. Right. Turkey sausage is amazing. You don't need to eat pork, have a breakfast like of champions of like pancakes, 10 eggs and 10 sausages,
right,
you know what I mean, to get your day started. Most of us, like in the trades and whatnot, we don't even actually have breakfast. It just, if you think about it, this is another thing too, like the carnivore diet, or I can't even pronounce it right, carnivore diet, or fasting and whatnot. Most of those people don't eat in the morning. It's being calorie deficient of throughout the day and whatnot. It helps. It's just like whatever can get you calorie deficient and not eating all these calories.
Yeah, I do fasting every day myself.
Do you?
Yep.
Do you understand like why people do it? Why they fast mostly in the morning?
Why? Why?
Okay, so 200 years ago, 100 years ago, most of us were farmers and stuff like that. We might have a little coffee, the tiniest little breakfast maybe, and we'll start work. And then they have a big, like lunch was their dinner, it'd be 2-3 o'clock, and then they do some chores and go to bed. They might have another meal, and that'd be it. They have 8 hours of pretty much eating tops, and they have maybe one big meal and one small meal. But in the morning, you're getting milk, getting the eggs, you're hunting, you're getting your food. We didn't have refrigerators. Right. You can just reach in and grab some food. We didn't have any of that.
You don't have access to that. That's a whole different world.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's where the beginning of the intermittent fasting for us became. And then now it's like, commercializing breakfast. Everyone's trying to make money in the food industry.
Yeah, the food guide pyramid, I think, was literally Kellogg's, paid for it. I think originally. Oh, dude, way back, it's shit.
Yeah, it's shit. It's because grain was saying 5 or 6 servings or something like that. It was ridiculous. Now it's 1 or 2.
Yeah. We just know more is another thing too. There's it was kind of shitty, but we also have just learned way more about our bodies and. Yeah, no, 100%. And then, everyone's trying to just these fad diets and whatnot, and it's whatever works for you. It just not eating all these calories. So coffee is a good source of get up and go. It suppresses your diet or your appetite and just something like that. You don't need sugar in the morning. You don't. I just can't stress it enough. Is don't sit there eat a sugary bowl
corn flakes and a bunch of sugar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I used to be someone who I was like, I love my cereal. I gotta have at least my cereal. Like I remember I would like Josh Lozo would try to help me out with a workout plan, and I'm like, well, I gotta keep my cereal, and he's like, all right, fine, but like you're sacrificing this thing later on. But now I realize I've experienced it, and I've like challenged myself with intermittent fasting, like because a lot of it is kind of like the mental. You're kind of beating the mental at first. For anybody who's never tried the fasting, it's like you wake up in the morning and you just kind of habitually have your bowl of cereal. You habitually have your whatever, you don't really think about it too much. But once you start having that intent of like the night before, all right, I'm going to try fasting tomorrow. I'm going to do fasting tomorrow. So you go to bed, you eat some good food, and then you kind of start your clock at a certain time. Mm-hmm. And for me with fasting, I just say like, all right, I'm not eating until this time. And if it's not that time, I don't eat. So it's like your habit is to walk to the pantry and like pour yourself a bowl of Frosted Flakes or whatever. Oh yeah. But you what you do is instead of choosing that mouth pleasure, you build the resilience. So it's like, oh, okay, that does sound good, but I'm going to try this fasting thing. Mm-hmm. And it starts to like, at first you're like, oh, do I feel kind of crappy? And you're like, your body's like weirded out that you're not feeding it sugar. And so you're like shaky or you're feeling kind of weird. But after a while, it's like, your mind starts to like say, okay, I guess you know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Like your body starts listening to your mind rather. I think because I used to be someone who was so obsessed with breakfast, and I was like, I'm not giving that up. But I really think that starting your day without all that sugar, man, really for me it helps a ton. Like whether you're fasting or not, even, but just bowls of cereal, they're delicious, but you are choosing mouth pleasure over, your body functioning properly, I feel.
100%. It just slows it down. Like you're not as productive in the morning, and I don't condone for somebody that's bigger or who's overweight because they can go hypoglycemic. I mean, they have to have something to eat because they're used to the mouth pleasures all day, every day. So if you just jump right into it, it's not going to work out for you.
Take it slow.
Yeah, take it slow because I mean, when you're that big, you're like, you got all kinds of health risks and whatnot, and it's just take it easy, get in habits. That's all it is, go from 2 bowls of cereal to 1 cereal or bowl of cereal, and tell your body you don't need it, and that's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, you got to tell yourself we're gonna be okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then I said a good one to help suppress it is coffee. You can throw a little bit of creamer in it. It has a little bit of sugar. If I like black coffee. I'm fine with that.
I love black coffee, got you.
Yeah, this is delicious. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. The old K-cup out there.
Heck yeah.
So you said you've always been a big guy, but you've also, since I met you, it was definitely high school, because you were a year ahead of me. You graduated 2009. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was 2010. So you've always been a strong dude to me. Like. So do you remember, so when you first started lifting, was that something that you noticed like, oh shit, I'm actually like pretty strong? Like, was that like,
oh yeah, it was ridiculous.
Like, did you realize how fucking strong you really were?
Not really.
I've seen you lift some plates, bro.
Well, like at that time I was just trying to lose weight. So it's like throw a sweater on, have shorts on, 2 pairs of sweats, throw a jacket over and then go run. I don't think there's anything, healthy about that at all. But again, I was just jumping in it. Nobody guided me. Right. Then we didn't really have access to the internet way too well. We just got it a dial up in 2005 or whatever it was, and I think our high school just got computers. Yeah, it was like in the library and whatnot.
But I always reference 2007 is when the iPhone came out.
Did it really?
Yeah, only 2007. Only 13 years ago, and our whole life is ran by the damn thing now.
Yeah, first oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Yeah. I didn't think about that. But yeah, so it's like trying to find somebody to help mentor and trying to get you in a place. But there's a lot of like fake people out there, like with their fake, like their fad diets, like here, Slim Fast. Are you kidding me? Like it's a quick weight loss, but it doesn't ingrain anything into you. Most people will gain twice as much weight as they lost, or at least half. I can say that happened to me. Not exactly Slim Fast, but just trying to lose that weight quickly. You know, you shouldn't be thinking 40 pounds in 1 year. You should be thinking about 40 pounds in 2 years, and losing 20 pounds, and then figure out, you know, that's a solid, like, just slimming down, getting a couple pound sizes down, just figuring out how your body reacts to diets and whatnot, not just jumping into them. Again, have somebody that can place you where you need to be and then kind of cut you back.
Right.
And, you know, safely, especially when you get older and whatnot. Jumping in diets is just really hard on your body and whatnot. We're not 18 anymore, and you can do, you know, 18, you can eat whatever and anything and everything you want if you're just somewhat athletic or busy.
All the Pop-Tarts.
All the Pop-Tarts.
Every Pop-Tart in your home you could eat.
Strawberry Pop-Tarts with milk. But yeah, so yeah, I 100% stress that get somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah. So you had found, you had a couple coaches that were kind of showing you a few things, like we were talking about before the podcast. We're talking about even just like teachers that were helping you out, you know, in that sense. So did you have coaches that like kind of started to, like, they saw your interest, that you're interested in this thing, and they kind of teach you a thing or two? Of course, we have like weightlifting class in high school and stuff, but
yeah, Coach Himes definitely did that. Just showed me how to work out properly, and he would go out of his way to make sure, you know, spot me. I asked him, and he would just sit there and spot me and show me the right way to bench, the right way to squat, and to get at parallel. Don't quarter squat. It doesn't do anything for you but hurt your knees. Yeah. Just all kinds of different movements and sprints, what they can do for you, and like just the agility part of it too. Yeah. Drills. I had a lot of people just say, you know, eat your meat and potato and whatnot. And that's just how it was, though. You know, just getting back to like a paleo diet kind of thing. You know what I mean? Know what's in it. If you don't know what's in it, don't eat it kind of thing. Meat and potatoes kind of thing. So I wouldn't say nobody really helped me with the diet portion. I just worked my ass off. Right. And by the time I was sophomore year, I had a six-pack, and I had a six-pack up until like 20 years old. And then I just, college happened, and ate a lot. Ate a lot. But that was more like started my powerlifting. Yeah, but you kept lifting through that, because I know that we worked out a few times together. I mean, quite a few times together. Oh, yeah. In that period. I mean, I was definitely like, I was always... Because when I was in high school, so in 10th grade, I was like probably 140 pounds. I was just like a skinny, scrawny skater guy. With those highlights. With the highlights, and then the next day was red hair. It was always something different. I remember that. But so for me, when I started lifting in 10th grade, I graduated at 180. Obviously, I was like hitting puberty, so I'm just getting bigger anyway, right? Yeah, but I gained a lot of weight, and I was lifting with you guys, and I was just like, dude, I was always like super inspired and super like, I would always push myself to that edge, because I'm lifting with these dudes. I'm like, you guys are way fucking stronger than me. I don't know why you're lifting with me, but I loved it, dude. You guys were very like the camaraderie around like the weightlifting crew is very cool. So I like skateboarding. I don't know. So I didn't do like a lot of organized sports, and I was never super around like the fun, friendly, like bantering, like the like what's up, Ugly? You know, like just like the friendly. It's like it's all love for sure, but like the just manly kind of homey bantering. And I feel like I started to get that like more when I started doing weightlifting, like working out with all you guys, and stuff. And it was this cool like camaraderie. Like you're excited to go to the gym. You're excited. Like even if you just have headphones on for the whole time, the people there understand that. They're like they're going to wave at you. They're going to say what's up. They're going to check on you. Like if you've got like bad form or you need help with something, you just go ask them. It's so cool. So we had lifted together a bunch of times, but you hadn't started competing until the more recent couple of years. Can you give me some of your background on like competing? Like how many What is the official titles for like the competitions that you do? And then how many have you done so far? So let me see that. I actually got that written down, because it's been 3 years just competing twice a year. Anything more than that, my joints can't take it. Some people can do it more. That keeps you pretty sane though, just twice a year. Yeah. I like, because there's so much training. Like you got to train in a specific way. Like if you know that at this meet I'm going to
try to accomplish this goal, like you're training 100% towards that in a different way than you were last year for the other goals.
Yeah, exactly. And here's it. Yeah, so I went from a 600-pound squat to 705 in the past 3 years, competing, because I've been competing since 2017 of August. Actually, when I met my first coach, Cameron, he was competing too. He had his coach. And if you're going to compete, I think everyone should have a coach, or at least somebody to help guide them through the process. Because it's not just about the training. It's about the nutrition, definitely, the sleep, understand the mindset, and like get underneath the bar that has your max rep. Because you see those guys squatting 1,000 pounds, but that 1,000 pounds feels just like you're squatting 400 pounds, for your 1 rep max. They're under the same intensity and like the same, like the thought process, everything. They feel exactly the same as you do. You just adapt to the weight. Anyways, that was my first meet. It was actually at Kabuki Strength. I think that was called Regional Powerlifting Championships. And then we went on to Oregon State Championships, Washington State Championships, and that's all USPA. And then I went to APA. APA's pretty fun. They're more around the world. USPA started over here in the United States. It's just gaining popularity, getting everywhere else. They're more the raw. I mean, there's huge history how everything's going on. Like, there used to be multiply guys wearing suits and stuff like that for many years, and that it kind of died off in the early 2000s. And then we start seeing raw, and from raw, like bare, no, nothing on your knees, no belts, and nothing. That became kind of popular for a little bit because CrossFit started gaining traction. And it just,
you ever just fist fight those guys? Like the weightlifters versus CrossFitters?
Oh yeah, dude. You know what? I'm gonna try not to be biased, but it's whatever you like doing. But CrossFit, I've never like. The form you guys got, I'm sorry, but it's horrible. It was so horrible. Like, it was like man-ups or whatever they're called. Like, oh my God, my shoulder would blow out. Right. Like, it's like, they're standing. They got the pull-up bar right here, and they got to, like, swing their legs really hard, bring their arms up, and then push up or whatever. I was like, oh, no, my shoulders, like, you have to be 120 pounds, 160 pounds to do that. Right. I don't know.
There's always like a friendly competition. Like, if like in the weightlifting world, it's like kind of a joke. You make fun of the CrossFitter guys. Always.
Or the bodybuilders.
Right.
Like, I always definitely make fun of the bodybuilders. No calf gain.
Yeah. Where's your legs, bud?
Yeah.
So could you paint a picture of someone who's never actually so someone who's probably even never seen like on TV, like watched a meet. Can you paint a picture of how it is? So it's like, okay, so you're going in and you're squatting 700 pounds. What does that look like? So there's a coach, there's judges and stuff. So what is it like? It's just an open gym room with a couple squat racks, or how does it go?
Yeah. So that's the other aspect I was going to get at, is like, besides the coach, the nutrition and the mindset and whatnot, learning to be on the platform. You got 3 attempts. You got warm-ups for half hour to hour, maybe hour and a half tops, depending on how many people are competing. There's different flights. There's women. It's not just like a women's flight and a men's flight. It's just weight classes, 87 kilos to, or that's kind of, and like this, every flight's different weight classes. And usually I lift with the big boys at 198 plus, depending on how many people are there. Again, they divide the flights up. Usually it's 2 or 3. But anyways, you got to learn commands. Everyone has commands, like squat. You got 1 squat rack. You might have 2, depending on how many judges they have. Usually it's 1. If it's a big meet, like 150 people or over 100 people, we might try to do 2 platforms at once, and the platforms as in like squat racks. Sometimes you have to walk it out. Sometimes you're on a monolift, and all you do is you just stand up with it. There's little hooks they bring out, and then you just squat in place. Everyone's different. I like walking it out. It's a more American thing to do. It's more like Russia and whatnot, or Australia. They have the monolift. You'll see. I don't know where that actually came from, monolift, but we since USBA, a lot of people more walk it out. It's the thing. It takes way more out of you. There's more control, a lot more breathing and bracing. If you don't do any of that, you're gonna fold.
Is walking it out basically a regular squat to where you lift it off the bars and you take a couple steps back, or is walking it out?
Right what you just said.
Okay.
You lift it up, you walk it back, and you squat. You can walk as many steps you want, but we all try to do the 3-step squat. You just lift it up, 1 foot back, another foot back. So, but anyways, so you got to learn commands, and those commands usually squat. Everyone's a little different. Most of the time you'll see where you lift up on the weight. The coach has their hand up, or not the coach, but the meet director or the head judge, whoever's in front of you, will have their hand up, and they'll be like squat, and you squat down. And then you squat back up. There's no command of coming back up. You just squat up and down. And then when you're look like you're locked out, they'll say, bring it in. And that's it for the squat. But you have to make sure your knees are locked out and your hips are fully forward. If you're doing this weird if you look like you have it's called soft knees if you don't lock out your knees. And they'll call you on it. There's 3 judges. The head judge is always in front of you, and then you got your 2 judges on your side. Always bench, deadlift, squat, and so you either get a white flag or red flag. If you got soft knees and they all see it, you got 3 red flags. It doesn't count, and it's a lot of mental on your first squat, because I think squats most anxiety, because if it falls on you, like a bench, if it falls on you, you got 3 guys right there ready to grab it. Squat, if you fall, you got chains. Usually it's chains on a monolift, on a USBA rack or a Texas rack, or you walk it out, and there's usually they don't adjust the little bars. So usually the bars are all the way down. Yeah. They just forget because everyone's in the moment.
Right.
So that's what
if you bail out, it may not catch it in time.
Oh yeah, I've seen it where people don't wear wrist wraps. Gear is definitely important. Wrist wraps keep you nice and tight. You're here on your shoulders. Some people when you squat and you're squatting low bar, it's on your rear delt, your rotator cuff right above it, and makes a shelf. So if you have your elbows not straight up and down, but little tilted, like a 15-degree little tilt behind you, creates a shelf on your back. So that's so then the bar can stick to you. And then the wrist wraps help just keep your hands in place where it doesn't hurt your wrists, and you don't just, your elbows don't kick out and drop the bar, which that happens a lot. And that usually get kicked out of a competition if you just bail out. Ruins the bar. It's very unsafe. Nobody can catch 500 pounds. Yeah. Especially if you're not. We're all ready for it right there. Our hands are all on the weight, but if it dumps, you grab it, the next person grabs it a second later, then it's
Yeah, it's just awkward. It's too much weight to be playing around with. It's serious quick.
Yeah, exactly. And anyways, so you got 3 attempts with these judges, squat, bench, deadlift, on each one. So you got 3, and you only have 3 attempts. I said, already told you about the commands on squat. Then bench, same thing. You unrack it. They'll tell you down. You come down. You touch your chest. You don't fold into your chest. You got to stop moving. Just barely hover, just touching those pecs. And they'll tell you to press. And if you look like you're moving under that bar like this or shimmying or you're not under control with that bar on your chest, they will not give you the come up command. They'll wait until they see it. So if you come down super nice and gradual and you touch that chest, most judges would tell you right up. USBA, there's some judges that don't, they'll make you sit there for a minute, or not a minute or two, but a couple of seconds.
It feels like a minute or two.
Yeah, exactly. And so then you press, and then they'll tell you to rack, and that's when you rack. Some people are just give you the down command and press command, and then you rack yourself. It's a little different with different federations. And then you got deadlift. And again, how I said bench, you get 3 attempts, just like the rest of them. So deadlift, again, 3 attempts. And then you, all they give you is you grab that bar. They'll tell you when to come up, and you pick it up whenever you're comfortable. You got you got a minute, by the way. You're timed. Everyone's timed. So as soon as they call your name, you got a minute to come on the platform. Anyways, on the deadlift, the judge they'll tell you ahead of time, like they're just gonna have their hand up and until you lift it, and then when they feel like you dominated that weight and you lift it all the way up, your hips are just like a squat, knees locked, hips forward, and like just straight up and down. Your whole body's just nice posture, like and you're not slipping, and you got to hold it for like a second or two, where you actually have a control of that bar. Then they'll just let their head down so it's down, and you don't dump it, you don't drop it. You go down with the weight, make sure that bar is on the ground. If it's uncontrollable, they will actually call you too. Yeah, that's the meet, and how it can go on for like 4 to 8 hours. I've done one in Oregon State Championship from Downing at Newport for like, I think we started at 8 in the morning, and we didn't end until 8, so 12 hours.
Jeez.
Well, we were so tired.
Man, yeah, that's hard to like keep your. So did you compete a couple times that day? Like, or were you kind of waiting for your turn?
So you always wait for your turn. So it's like I kind of hate that when it's a bigger meet.
Yeah, it'd be hard to keep that energy up all day for me.
It is. A lot of people like. So if you've been in the game for a while, they don't. A lot of them don't take caffeine. We take ammonia. We got these mono capsules. Right. The ones for to wake you up from like a first aid. You can buy like 100 of them for like $5, and each lift you just crack one open and it just jolts your nerves and you get ready to go. Helps you not pass out. I don't think it gives you a bunch of adrenaline. I don't think so. It just shoots my nerves to keep me from not passing out.
Right.
That's what it's mainly used for. People use it more like a mental thing. Like it just. Right. It just gives you that over the edge attitude.
Yeah, that pump up before you're about to grab 700 pounds off the ground.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's squats, deadlifts, and bench, and that's what you competed in. It's those 3 that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. That's all powerlifting is. It seems like 3 attempts, like how hard it can be, but the mental aspect of actually prepping, you got the different phases. You got 12 to 15 weeks. If you're overweight, then you got to do a water cut or try to gradually cut. A lot of people don't have control. As a powerlifter, you just shove whatever's in your mouth. Right. But I've always been the same weight. I take that back. I'm always between 235 to 260. There's different weight brackets, just like wrestling. You got 185 class, 189 class, 220, 220 class, 242, 275, 308s, and then anything after that is super heavies. I would say I did the 242 class. I've always done it. I've once competed at 308s, but that was back in college. It was my first meet, which I didn't know nothing about. Yeah,
you were talking about how you like went into it a little tired and.
Oh yeah, I was.
Because you were working on your electrician stuff too.
That was the second one. That was after So the first one was in college, and I didn't know nothing about it, and I quit weightlifting because I was telling you I was trying to go to PSU, and that didn't happen, so I had to go work. That fell through, and I started working, so I quit powerlifting, and I just worked out gradually, and lost a bunch of weight, like 45 pounds to where I am now. And But that second one, which was the ramp up of my what I'm at today, is I was tired, and that was a lot of hours and very stressed out. Yeah, very stressed out.
Yeah. So so you've been weightlifting for a while now. So way back when, let's go ahead and rewind it, because it actually kind of almost catches me off guard when you said baby shaken syndrome. I don't think I really knew that. I don't think I knew that about you.
A lot of people do it.
Yeah,
they get a little hint because I can't control it. Like sometimes I drool a little bit. I just can't control like some emotions, or I stumble with my words or how I talk. Like I'm really good with my hands. My brain and my hands work really well together. It's just my vocabulary and how I stumble words. It's not because like what do I call it? Like I went to speech therapy and all that stuff as a little kid, and a lot of it, hours and hours of it, and I just didn't help because it's just what's wrong with what happened with me as a child, and that came down to like I was like less than like 6 months old, and I was we were living in California, me and my brother. I have a twin brother, George, and we my dad, he abused us physically, and gave us shaken baby syndrome, or hemoglobin to the brain, just your brain bleeding and swelling, and they take, in that process to relieve it, they just take big old needles and just, back then, I don't know now, just big needles in the back of the head and just try to relieve that pressure. It's it's just crazy. Water. It's just all water, because your brain is just with water and the membrane and whatnot around it. And literally just big needles and just to relieve the pressure. And my brain relieved. It healed just fine afterwards, but with some damage. My brother, he had actually had a tube inserted, a shunt, in the back of his head, and it actually drained. It was the tube that went from the back of his head to his neck, down to his stomach. They had it implanted. Wow. Yeah, so like, and with that, like, you outgrow it. Some people die, but most people don't. I mean, it's a very minute number. And your brain will actually grow around it and will just kind of smush it. And it's there. It doesn't hurt you.
Crazy.
But again, it affects your learning ability, because that brain damage is such a young, you haven't, your brain, all the fibers and everything haven't, your frontal lobe, like none of it's really developed, you know? And we couldn't walk until we were almost 4, like 6 months before like preschool.
Dang.
Yeah. It was crazy. Like I got pictures of like, it looked like I have an alien head.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. And I was like, what? And I was like, no, that's not me. And like mom was like, yeah, that's you.
Yeah, dang.
But my mom didn't know it was my dad until, I don't know how exactly it happened. He blamed it on the babysitter. And back then, but this happened a lot though. Like it was just kind of swept under the table where people didn't talk about beating their kids. And it happened. And now we got child abuse. We got social services and all kinds of stuff. And but 30 years ago, no, we didn't.
It's different.
Yeah, they just started finding out about this kind of cases in the 90s, like when they actually started digging into it and getting services for it. It wasn't until the 90s that I know of. And and then I don't know how my mom found out. And as soon as she did, she just packed up and left for Washington with me and my brother, without my dad knowing. Like he went to work and we left.
Yeah.
Just literally packed up in U-Haul, whatever we can. Left the house. He got the house and moved up here with family. And been up here ever since. Yeah. I have.
Yeah, I mean, you've always, like, since I've met you, since we were way back in high school, you've always been, like, friendly, humble. You always seem pretty smart to me. It's weird. Like, I mean, I guess, like, if you talk about it, you're like, oh, I stumble over my words, or I sometimes whatever. I mean, I think for me, I'm, like, I have, I guess, ADHD, and I did okay in school, but I kind of had, like, learning this, like, I didn't understand things the way that other people did. I just had to get there in a different way.
Yeah.
But you know, even now, I get better and better from the podcast and just having conversations, but I stumble over my words and like I get distracted or like down these like streams of like not the content I was trying to talk about or whatever. But you know, it's funny. I feel like the more people you meet, the more different types of people you meet, the more you like talk about people's story, the more you, I don't know, you start seeing like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I never really noticed that you've stumbled over your words. Like I like it's, you seem like you're a normal dude. Like it's not like it's like really a hindrance. I mean, I'm sure you've dealt with, so I don't mean to downplay, I'm sure you've dealt with like so much and gone through so much work to like make it better and stuff. But it's interesting. Like we all just kind of have our own like upbringing and our own like, there's different like labels like ADHD or you have depression, or you have anxiety, or you have like, you actually have like physical, like you were damaged in your brain when you were younger. But it's, I don't know, it's just great that you don't really like let it identify you. Like you're just a normal, nice, friendly guy, and you seem pretty damn smart to me every time we've hung out.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, of course.
But no, I completely agree. You know, every situation's different. It's just how you take it emotionally and mentally, like just, and like what you do with it. That's what it comes to, is every situation. You don't know everyone's situation, but you can see it. You know, everyone you know, we all have like was it? You only have so many emotions, but it's not hard to see it on your face. You know what I mean? You walk around with a sad face, and how you see somebody says hi, you're like, oh hi, you know, how's your day? You don't. Somebody doesn't say how their day really is. We just say we're okay.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it just, but you can still see it on the face, but nobody asks. Nobody asks how you're, you know, what's going on in your life, right. Or you know, like, but you know, but again, we have our own past, and we choose to deal with it how we want, and the way we want, and then put the people around us of how we act.
Right. Where do you think that came from in you? Like, where do you think like your optimism and I mean, because you had like some rough things growing up, and you've remained an optimist about it.
Seeing the fucked up people around me. Excuse my language, but really fucked up people. Yeah. My mom was in drugs. Got worse after like, just like she started having episodes. Like, well, we don't have any mental health like problems in my family at all, and it's usually derived from a parent or some sort. But everyone's sound of mind, you know, everyone gets depressed or whatever, how you want to label it. You know, everything's getting a label these days. Right. But I think it's just a bunch of meds and freaking somebody's making money.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But I mean, everyone has these feelings and whatnot. It's how you control them. What makes the difference? But anyways, but just seeing the shitty people, like everyone doing drugs. Luckily, I didn't really see anybody ever really do drugs. I'd find it or see the aftermath of people like slumped over or crashed for like 3 or 4 days on my couch. I'm like, I don't even know who this guy is.
It just smells like incense in here.
Yeah, like incense. They always burn incense when they were smoking meth. So it's like my mom would open the door and I needed something as a little kid, and I was like, smelled kind of funky, like cat piss, but it was incense.
Yeah. Is that lavender cat piss candle or something?
Yeah, that's what it just smelled in my house. I'm like, we don't even have a cat.
That's so crazy.
I was like, what the fuck? And I didn't understand. I was really blinded to it until I was like 12 or 13, to be honest. Like, I didn't know what I was looking at. You know, we went through what, the only thing we go through is DARE.
Oh, right.
Yeah, in 6th grade. Or 5th grade for some people. But even then, they don't tell you what drugs look like. They don't tell you what the symptoms are that I remember. They just say, you know, be drug free, you know, be positive, all this stuff, and they don't show you real world stuff.
Right.
And I was in it, and I didn't understand that I was in it, and the people around it, like everyone was affected by it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. It's such a complicated thing, like. Who in your life would explain to you as a kid like anything about drugs that would like be beneficial? I mean, it's not like, you know, it's not like your parents or your mom in that situation is going to like be able to give you the right lens on those sort of things.
No, she was in it. My sister was in it. everyone, boyfriend, like everyone, like the sister boyfriends, my mom's boyfriends. Luckily, my mom didn't bring a bunch of like random like boyfriends over, or, excuse me. But yeah, just didn't bring a bunch of boyfriends over. She had one main one, but he was super deep into it. Both super unstable, not going good for each other. I mean, domestic. There was domestic there too, and I saw that. That was scary. He was a big guy. He was like 250, 6'2", 6'3", just big guy. It was always a labor roofer framer kind of guy. He seemed like he could be such a cool dude, but they just put people around him that just done drugs. They just lived. I mean, my mom's such a nice lady, but she just allowed people to come around that because she wanted friends. She didn't like being lonely. And me and my brother were gone most of the time, school and sports. That's when it got really, like when me and my brother started going away from the home, she just got really bad because she just put herself around people that weren't good. And we lost our home. We rented a house over in Alpha Drive, and we lost that because her boyfriend didn't pay the rent. And we lost it. And she couldn't, and she already spent money that she didn't have. Those fast cash places, where you can get a line of credit real quick.
Lots of interest.
Oh yeah, no, bro. I'm pretty sure. As I said, I love my mom, but I'm pretty sure when she dies, the credit card companies are coming after me. Like, you know what I mean? They could, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's no getting away from it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I sincerely hope that doesn't happen. I hope there's some sort of protection for you within that. I don't know if there is, but
life insurance. But I don't know if I really don't talk to her. I don't even know if she has life insurance. That's literally that's why people get life insurance, because they cover the funeral and everything else. But nobody really thinks about it. Nobody wants to think about dying.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because my dad got into meth when I was younger. The thing about me is I never had really formed much of a relationship with him before that. Like I was like probably 9 or something. When he got into it, but he came through it not through loneliness as much as it was pain. His was arthritis. And I feel like a lot of it is kind of like a lot of my driving factor to like be so like holistically healthy. Like I've always worked out, been active. I'm always trying to like oh, you've got a rash on your foot. Is it because you ate the incorrect thing? Well, let's learn about that. I'm just always trying to like solve the body problems. And I feel like a lot of it is because, I grew up in it. Like my father wasn't able to solve like why he was in pain, and he would just go to doctors. That's what you think you're supposed to do, is just like, I'm in pain, I go to the doctor and they fix me. And we don't really think of like preventative maintenance. We don't think of like, how is my food affecting me? How is my, like how can I strengthen these areas like with my physical body? Like, but he was in a lot of pain. So he got into drugs through that. And I have like a few years of kind of chaos. But it's interesting. It's because it is all love. Like, we're still trying to work out our relationship. It's like, I don't have like a bunch of like bitterness towards my parents. It's interesting. Like as you get older, as you're the man, you're like, oh, okay, like these things happened, like, but here's how I got to reframe them now. Like, here's what I learned from them. Here's what I am holding on to or not holding on to. It's like a tough healing thing.
I completely agree.
And it creates love though.
Did you, with that, like that process, like I didn't revolt against it. Like I just let it be. Like for me, I didn't like go rebel or anything. Do you, in your situation, do you think kind of revolted? Like, F you parents? Like,
I mean, I've always been I've been attracted to that punk rock rebel. Like, I feel like when we met, I was dressed as an emo, dressed as like a punk rock guy. Like I always just, I also though, so mine, I don't think mine was super shaped by like the trauma side of like my dad doing meth and like we lost all the house and like mom heart broke. Like, but I was like, once he started doing that, it like, it did break us a lot, but I feel like a lot more of my like rebellion was more just because even before that, even before the traumatic like drugs and stuff at home, I always felt that I was just way different than everybody around me. Like I always felt like I was like the black sheep of the family. I was like really, really that. And I felt like, I kind of felt like the black sheep of like every situation. Like I just felt so different than everyone.
Yeah.
So I think after a while I just like embraced it and I liked that. Like I liked seeing like when it comes to fashion anyway, like, so I like seeing like in a music video, like the lead singers wearing like those pants. And I want to be like, oh man, I could wear those pants. Like, and nobody else around me is wearing those. Nobody else has even seen those pants before. Yeah. So, and then as far as like rebelling, I was like a good smart ass. Like I would kind of like fuck up, or like we're trespassing skateboarding, but then I'd be good at like kind of like sweet talking the cops or sweet talking the teacher to get myself out of it. Like that sort of thing. Like I was kind of like a rebellious manipulator in a sense or something. But but it created, I did hold on to a lot of resentment, a lot of like misplaced anger, you know, but over the last few years, like I uncovered that stuff and I'm like, oh, okay, I could reframe this in this different way. But it was never like, I don't know. It was never like holding on to a hate of like, you did this to me, and like staying. I never want to stay in that victim role. I feel like just we grow out of that victim role and we can kind of channel that energy into new knowledge. And like, I know what I don't want to do. I know I can look at people who are in that situation or people who grew up around that same situation with a lot more compassion. Like I can see them for what's really going on.
Yeah. No, I completely, 100%. And we all go through the same process, I think. You know, we are in a different situation, but we all go through, it's the same process. The grieving and like, fuck this, fuck that. And then like the rebellion, like, and you're always going to be different. When you're in a situation of like drama or you lose something, you're on your own situation, but you have to develop from it. And how you said you're the past couple of years, you've been in a really good place. You've been doing your own thing. You're able to situate everything going around you and whatnot, and you can get grasp of this and grab that and actually really develop from that. But what's shitty is that a lot of us are just stuck where we're at mentally. I wouldn't say me. I'm right with how you were saying, like kind of situated and like especially the past like 10 years. I think it's been really development, but some people aren't able to do that because they're just stuck because they didn't have anybody reach out and tell them, hey, you can do something else. You don't have to do this. Right. It's just what you know. You know what I mean? It's just what you know, and you can't, and you don't know how to get out of it until you really fuck up. Until you got a court a couple of times and a couple of DUIs, maybe a misdemeanor because you're fucking possession of drugs. Not saying that's what I have, but I'm just saying I've seen many situations like that, and they're just stuck in a system. And when you're in a system, you know what? You're labeled. You're definitely labeled. Mm-hmm. Like for me, I've been to jail a couple of times. I'll say it. Was it because you pulled your pants down at Muchas? No, poor Mary Bell. No, that was a good time though. You've been to jail a couple times though. Yeah, it's sealed. You guys can't see shit, but I've been in trouble. I've been in trouble. It just because it was my rebellion. Like I went to jail a couple times. I'm not gonna bring up what that was about, but it was just like me rebellion. It was just me trying to grow, and I just didn't understand which way to push. And it was like I had a good mindset, but then I would just fuck up. And then I actually got kicked out of school for like 6 months. Out of high school? Mm-hmm. No shit. Yeah, that was my sophomore year. Big rebel. But I was able to still go to what's it called? This program they had for troubled kids. Like I had like Sydney Oliver, Roscoe Worley. I haven't heard those names for a while. I know. I had those guys. I had a couple other kids in there too. But I was still able to do my credits and stuff and have my homework handed through that program. And then I was able to sit down twice a week or every other day or something like that to go to this class. Mr. Mo ran it. I don't know if he's still alive or not. He was pretty old when he was running it. Mm-hmm. Super awesome guy. he could teach you anything, and he understood our situations, and he was strict when he needed to be, and he helped my situation out. He actually really steered me towards a better light. Yeah, and then after I came back, I was pretty good. It helped me out a lot. I still had my credits. I still graduated with more than enough. Graduated like high school, like a 2.8. I was able to go to college.
Right. Do you think the so like in your life you didn't really have like role models, as like you didn't have anybody until your parents anyway, of course, they weren't role models. They teach you things retrospectively later on in life. You can be like, oh, okay, I don't want to do this, or I do want to do this, or my mom was hurting because of this, dad was hurting because of this, whatever it is. But those role models that you did have, like I feel like the more that I grow up, the more that I look back, and a lot with this podcast, I'm kind of like, I'm always mining different people. Like for me, I'm mining friends, I'm mining like coworkers, I'm mining like the managers, I'm mining like these people that I meet like for information. Like what are they teaching you at all times? And I feel like a lot of us don't realize it, but we don't really have role models that we look up to. Like even if your parents don't know that much, and you like, okay, well, my parents didn't teach me very much. I've never really had a good role model, so I don't really know what to do. Well, you're also like watching a lot of TV, you're watching movies, like everything that we're consuming is kind of like influencing us in these ways.
100%.
Yeah. And I think that, for me, like you realize a little more retrospectively, but like my friends' parents, like my parents weren't there for me, but like when I would go to my friends' parents' house, like the little bits of information that like, my friend Emily, her dad would like say something to me in a certain way when I was 16 or 17. And it literally was probably one of the most profound things that I learned. Like I never had any older grown, like adult person say something like that, like teach me about responsibility, or teach me about like caring about one another, or, even manners, like those sort of things. I think there's a lot of people who didn't have role models, but they think they feel stuck maybe in that. They think like, well, this is how my life was and this is how I am. But for me, you can look at all these different people that you meet, your friends' parents, your coaches, your workout partners, your homies. Like there's little things that everybody's teaching you at all times. And even me, I would go last couple of years, I would start to kind of find like, what do I was kind of searching for this like father role model thing, I think, in a sense. And so I started finding guys like Jordan Peterson and Tony Robbins and just like these people who are like inspiring and like teaching, and Joe Rogan and stuff online.
Yeah.
And I almost like would kind of picture them as like a little bit of a father figure. Like, what can I learn from this person? Like if he was my dad and he was teaching this to me that he's talking, like how would I take that differently? And I think that you kind of did that similar thing. Like you started having coaches and people in your life pop up, and you were willing to like listen to them and like do, try what they said. And they're like, hey, Ricky, if you do this way, you can have this opportunity.
Yeah.
And you started listening to them. I think a lot of people don't, we identify ourselves with the position of being stuck a lot of times.
Yeah, that's where the victim role comes from. That goes right back to there, and then from there, you can sprout or not do nothing. You stay in the same situation, and a lot of people like sticking in their situations. Not like, but they don't know what to do because they didn't have any. And you get older, and, am I going to talk to a 40-year-old what to do about their life? Not really. It's just not common. It's they're 40 years old. They should know by now. Kind of, that kind of mindset.
Right.
But being those, those listeners that are younger, is like find somebody that, is willing to listen to your story, but also help teach what's going on around you. Financially, like school doesn't teach you financially; they teach you half crap. History, math's awesome, always, and then language. And you don't get taught. It's this. If you really want to get down the rabbit hole, you got the system. Us, and then us stuck on TV. I mean, watching stuff like MTV music and stuff like that. How you're saying, like, watching the music videos and like, like holy shit.
Influenced who I was.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's how it works.
Exactly. And then, you're like, oh, I want that. But the thing is like, just the whole spectrum of like, I think crap, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to find out who you are. You see how other people are living that, I want to say not attainable, but those people are, you know, making millions of dollars just because they're feeding you content.
Right.
And stuff.
Right.
So they're going to feed you whoever gives them the money to feed you, you know, the content. Yeah, you know, it's, I'm not going to say it's the easiest thing to find those people who influence you, or, but it's a little more easy. I think actually it's a little more easier because now we have the internet. You can siphon through people like talking about what they're talking about and what other people are talking about, what that person talked about. Like, you know, like, the fad, so this other thing. So, you know, over YouTube, you got YouTubers and stuff like that. Somebody talking about some certain content, and then another YouTuber would say, this person's wrong because of this, that, you know, and they just kind of YouTube back and forth and whatnot. Yeah. You can see, and then they actually have to show their credibility. You know what I mean? And if you don't, then it's like, don't listen to them. Like, if you have no credibility, do not listen to them. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about being famous. I'm talking about actual, like, studies, some scholar studies, something, you know, even though it's like 100 and something pages just for the intro of a scholar study, at least read the intro of it, and at least understand, or just something, you need to get the grasp of what you're talking about. You know, it's the same thing for like weightlifting, like knowing every aspect of that, and like how like I train, I need to know things, but I don't know everything, so I get coaches. I pay people to help me, and I'm in the place to do that. You know, not everyone's going to do this kind of stuff for free or for immediately $50 or you know, whatever. It's they had to work their brains to get there, right, and to teach you. So you know, you got to pay to play kind of thing. You know, and then when you're get to a certain level in your thinking process, or you know, it's the same thing with school. Like I like school as a learning curve, like college, high school, or from 18 and below, 18 to preschool or whatever you want to say it. I think it's all shit. I think we're just going in and out, or just whatever. But as soon as I hit college, I got help to get in college. That expanded my mind. I had to maintain my own schedule. I didn't have somebody telling me I can make whatever I want. I can put my work where, you know, I manage it myself. I paid to be there, and I had to learn. If I didn't, then it showed me more like management skills. They actually gave you real world skills you can use, and you can take any class you want. You don't have to get a degree. You can just go there just to see if you like it. Most people don't like, you know, none of us like schooling because of school. It just taught us shit. We had to be there, I don't even know how many hours anymore, 8 hours at a time, every Monday through Friday, and then get taught a lot of shit. I'm not saying all of it was shit. Like, what was her name? Mrs. Warwick. I think that's her name. Do you remember the business lady? Super short, 5'2", hard hearing.
I mean, I feel like I'm picturing someone in my head, but I don't think that ever happened.
Oh, I think that's her last name. But anyways, she like computer skills. She talked like business not business, like business, like write letters, emails, how to actually socialize in like the business world and stuff like that. Like that was a core class. That was awesome.
Dude, yeah, that's a good class to know.
Yeah, and it was, but that, you know, that was her. You know, 2005, how it said like 2007's when iPhone came out, you know what I mean? Now you're saying, and, you know, we're all entering, just trying to figure out different aspects, of what's going on in our lives. Yeah. And, but anyways, just in your situations, where we're at in life is where we put it, you know, even though we don't know much, this is where we're at, and we have to learn from that situation. We have to be more open-minded about what's going on. And sorry.
You're good.
I'm gonna turn that off. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, I mean, so dude, I think that's an important thing to point out. Is like, I talk about awareness. I try to use that word often on the podcast. Like, you know, it's kind of like, if you want to use just a dramatic example, like the 12-step program for addicts, or like Alcohol Anonymous or something. Like the first step is admitting you have a problem. We've all heard that, right?
Yeah.
But
sounds so cheesy.
But it's this truth of like, it's not so much that you have a problem or that you're like, you have to now identify with this thing. It's like, once you can admit that you don't fucking know everything, you can realize where you're at. Like you can be willing to ask for help. You can be like, okay, this is what I don't know. Here's what I need to know. You can be open to someone actually teaching it to you.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of us, with social media, we have this like highlight reel that we post. We have this like our best selves, like our hopefully everybody thinks I'm perfect in these ways sort of things. The social media kind of like gets our brains going like that.
Yeah.
And
you
I
see
think
people
that
buying new cars, the houses, the boats.
Right. Which is so awesome. It's so cool. But I think that we also have to remind ourselves that is not all what life is. Like life is also like, they had bills that they had to get through. They had like some college that they had to get through to get the skills to where they can afford those cars, all these things. Like we decouple, we decouple ourselves. And so we almost feel like ashamed almost of like admitting like, man, I don't know shit. So I really need you to explain that again. Like that sort of thing. I think, but it's to be humble and to come at any situation like I'm as a non-know-it-all, like just as an open, like I'm ready to be taught.
Yeah. You have to.
Yeah.
100%. And I can't, but 16, 18 years old, 19 right after, 18 after high school. I think we're all lost, and knowing or admitting, how you said first step, like in the 12 steps, it's like admitting that you're lost and how you're saying, like but get in the right direction is the hard part.
Yeah,
definitely. Because for me, I've taken multiple careers. I've done like the college thing. I graduated. I didn't do what I wanted to do because of the situation of going in the country at that time in 2012 with a black shooting with a white cop and how that escalated in this country. So I didn't become that, and then working in the mills, and then that wasn't for me. Just figuring out life. But it was like 10 years, like 10 years later, figuring out this is what I actually want to do in life, be an electrician. But it took me that long, but several different people to kind of point me in the direction, or at least just talking that who were successful.
Right.
Even though it was hard, like, when you reach out to somebody who is successful, and they ignore you, doesn't mean they're ignoring you, like they don't want to talk to you. There's just a lot of people are super busy.
Right. They're just working.
They're just working, grinding, just grinding, and going through the situation. They're going through situations like I'm finally, like for me, for instance, like I was, ever since I was 20 years old, I've been saving, like working and saving, getting through bills, getting through college, paying off everything. Just finding that job that would give me where I want. And so, and liking my job too is, let me see how to explain that. But just, liking your job, making that money that you feel comfortable enough to be financially set, and working through it, and working through that process of managing money, managing bills, managing time to yourself. That's a big one too. You can't just work, like I was telling you earlier before the podcast, is I would work 13 days on and 1 day off, and then do it again back to back, doing that divorce schedule at that Georgia Pacific mill, and working overtime. We would only work 8s, but most of us did overtime because we were just making that money, and that's we're already there 8 hours, so might as well just work a little more and make a little bit more money, and working that divorce schedule,
dangling that carrot right in front of you.
I know, but it wasn't making $25 an hour and making doing all the overtime, making $80,000 a year was a lot. It was I knew I wanted $80,000 or plus, and I work less. But working at a mill, I couldn't do that. I couldn't work less. I could do it probably in like 10 years from there, going up to paper machines. But I understood that I wanted more time to myself. My mental health wasn't good. Like I broke down a couple of times. I'll admit that. I broke down a couple of times when I was drinking or something. I just break down because I was just like, I didn't know myself at that time. Like, yeah, cool, I had all this money, but I was like super broken down, like mentally. Because when you go to work, you're there. For me, when I'm at work, I'm at work. I don't think about anything else. But after work, then it comes down on myself. Because then I had this do. I haven't talked to this person. I seen on social media my friend's mom died. This person going, it's people throw up stuff on there too. It's not all, it's not all glamour. Well, Instagram, you don't see that on Instagram. Right. It's just pictures and happy smiles. But Facebook, you'll see some drama and stuff like that. Right. And like somebody will talk about somebody died or they're seeing their grandma for the last time. And I just couldn't be there for a lot of good friends. And I lost a lot of good friends too. But I made a lot of good friends too, because I changed my my career in the mills. I said I wanted a certain amount of money. I knew what kind of lifestyle I wanted, and to pay my bills and what I wanted, and so I got out of it, and that's became an electrician. And I love the job. There's a lot of theory to it. There's a lot of schooling. You can either go to like Perry Tech for like 2 years and spend an ass load of money and try to pay that off in the next 10 years afterwards, or you can go Union Hall, the IBW, or non-union, which that's what I went with. JTC, apply there. It's a little easier. There's a lot of kids. There's getting out of high school that don't have any work ethic at all. Like, so with how do I explain that? Like a lot of kids coming out of high school, there's older guys too. There's like 40-year-olds going through their apprenticeship, and there's a lot of kids or just kids, and they just fuck off in class. Stupid, super stupid. But we're all going through this program, and it's 4 years. The IBW is 5 years. We all make really good money. We're all like most of the people in the trade who are younger, all coexist. We're all friendly. We're all learning. We're all learning. We're all like, you're constantly like anything like technology wise is always developing. Right. Like, that's exciting, actually. I feel like. Yeah, it is. But keeping on top of it, like, there's so many people we have to hire to do. Let me see. To do like controls and stuff, because we don't do specialty jobs. Yeah, right. Specialty jobs like fire alarm systems. We have people just for that. We have people just for running HVAC systems and stuff like that. We'll run the wire and run the pipe and hook this up, drill this into an HVAC system, throw a probe in to communicate to the system, to the system to tell a thermostat. We're at 85. It needs to be at 85. Keep on going until you hit 85. But just always evolving and whatnot. But we can't. Not one person can keep up with it, and we have to hire out for multiple people. So it can be a little stressful. But as soon as you got those people, you figured out this is the person I need for this, and this is whatnot. Like, you got to run jobs. It's a little stressful. I haven't ran a job yet. I do some like little things by myself. We do as an apprentice. They expect you first year you're a grunt, you're running pipe, you're pulling wire. Second year you're figuring out theory, like what a neutral does, what a ground does, like, or like how if you get shocked, or if some like the risk of getting shocked, which that happens a lot, or you get loaded neutral from like a cash register. Shocks you. That sucks. So like all like specialty equipment, like all this, the neutrals, there's a back feed from it, because there's not a relay, but not a condenser. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but anyways, it allows so much voltage to be taken at that time, and whatever's extra from the 120 come in, feeds through the neutral back to It always goes back to the original source of power. Yeah, so it takes what it needs, and then what it doesn't need, it returns it to the ground, right? Neutral. So neutral and ground. Technically, if you really look at it, neutral and ground are the same thing. Because if you look at a panel, that's a main disconnect panel, the main panel, not a sub panel. The neutral and ground are tied together. They're bonded together with a wire.
Right.
So it's like, I just never understood why the ground, and well, I do now because of the back feed. Because then, on the neutral you can get shocked, and on the ground you can't. It's just helps for a least amount of resistance to not get shocked. The ground is there, and it goes back to the source of power. So it doesn't go through you. It goes through the ground instead.
Yes.
Especially if the piece of equipment is grounded.
Yeah.
It has to be. If it's not grounded, say you're in a panel. No, let's say you're in a 4-square box, and it's a junction box, and you're working on wires and whatnot, and you actually hit the hot wire against the 4-square. I've done it a couple times accidentally, but and instead of shocking you, it goes through the box, which the box is grounded. Through the box being grounded, goes back to and that's the path of least resistance, which will then allow it to not go through you and go back to the source of power.
Right.
So that's how that works.
Dude, electricity is it's like daunting. It's always been like this scary thing. I remember I shocked I was a teenager at some time, and I was actually helping I helped paint the interior of a house or something. I forgot exactly what it was, but I was taking off the tape on a wire, and I remember putting my finger inside there on accident.
Oh,
and,
no.
I slipped or something, and I shocked myself. And from then I was like, God damn it, dude, electricity is not so I'm always reluctant about it. I learned more and more, and obviously through my audio engineering degree, I had to crash course it.
Oh yeah.
I remember just off the top of my head, one interesting fact that I learned more recently, and I feel like I've said it so many times throughout my life. The term electrocuted means that you died from the shock. It means that we say oh, I got electrocuted, and apparently that's improper, because the term electrocuted means that you died from electricity.
Really?
Shocked means that you were shocked from it.
Oh,
But,
okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that that's right. I remember it being a mind-blowing fact when I learned about it,
Huh. Well, the English language is pretty out there, just saying, compared to Spanish or there's words. Yeah.
And there's so much slang too. Especially nowadays with the internet and stuff. There's so much slang and crossover, and this word means this, but it also means this, and it means this if you're in this area, and it's just complicated. I wanted to ask you about something I was thinking about this morning. I was listening to this neuroscience podcast about this guy who was a skateboarder, and he didn't have a lot of structure growing up, and it sparked me, because I was like, oh, I guess if I think about it, I actually didn't really have much of any structure myself. And it's something that now, as trying to run my own program business corner of what I'm trying to create here, a lot of what I come up against is trying to create structure for myself. I'm always trying to get my plans going. I'm always trying to all right, what do I need to do tomorrow? What do I, as someone who it's likely that you didn't have very much structure growing up either. No. Do you find it as an adult now? Do you find relief in structure almost if you are bad at organizing yourself, but you join say the military, they've got it all mapped out for you. You know what to do at what time. It's almost like a relief almost. How do you do with structure? Do you feel like that's been something you've had to discover or find on your own now? Yeah,
I think so. Again, in high school or middle school or elementary, I just didn't have that. Even though they try to teach it, you go to this class at this time, on this period, and they kind of go through it, and they talk about notes and stuff, but until it's real world kind of stuff, school was a joke. I just didn't. I literally didn't learn anything. I was kind of slow, but college, I just literally learned everything. I could write a 20-page essay. I got in English 102, I got an A. And I was and that was fucking hard. But I was I taught myself that structure. I was I had to. I was it was real world. I'm paying for this. This is what I want. And to understand stuff note taking, and how we were talking earlier, you might take notes and just to help learn, but you might not look at it later. But you read it, you heard it, you wrote it down. It just multiple different neural pathways of learning that study, or just learning whatever you're learning, or even your daily what you got to do. You write it down, and you're and then see I was telling you earlier, since I have shaken baby syndrome, I have trouble Let me see. Like talking back and forth, like trying to keep like a conversation in one place. Like obviously you guys can probably tell a little bit, but I learn better with my hands. So when I'm writing something down or texting, or like I got, it's called Notes on an Android Galaxy S10. I have had this Notes for like at least 7 years, at least, like since the first Galaxy I've had. And I write everything down. Like today, like I wrote down a bunch of notes just to kind of keep my mind focused for today, and my to-do list. My jobs, like even when like day to day at my work, we have to do this. I'll ask my foreman, like, what do we need to do? Then and then if we're running conduit and pulling wire and making up or demoing stuff and like trying to figure out home runs and trying to get our job done for the day, like I'll write a quick list on break, or right before we start, I just write a quick list like, okay, you wanted this, and that. And but yeah, how today I like just had it all mapped out, and then after this I have it all mapped out. Like tomorrow I even have it all mapped. I have it mapped out. I was like, I have notes for everything.
So you just like take a few. I mean, I'm sure it's just a natural thing that doesn't even take you very long now. I'm sure just you pull out your phone and you kind of jot down like, oh, here's some key points that I want to remember during this podcast. Here's some key points that I want to make sure I remember. Like, don't fickle around when it comes to this next job. Like, so it's I think we've been like in school way back in high school and stuff. It's like, oh, note taking. Oh, I don't want to take note. It's almost like the teacher's making me do it so we pay attention to this movie sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think when you get older in life, it's like, dude, like find like learn how you learn. I think that's one of the most important things. I feel like you've done that pretty well, man. Like just taking notes. For me, in my creative endeavors, I'm someone who like, I think it's something, it's a little rambunctious, but it's something that I feel like I have to hold on to. I kind of have this thing where I like thinking all my ideas are great. As in, I like thinking that like, oh, I had this creative idea or I had this one line for a poem randomly in the middle of a Tuesday as I'm like trying to eat lunch. Like, I like telling myself like, maybe that is really good, but let's not overthink it right now because you got the real world. You're trying to solve this. You don't have a bunch of time to just daydream right now about this cool idea you had. Yeah. So I write it down on my notes. I write that first line of poetry. I write that idea for a DJ mix. I write that like writing prompt that I want to explore later. Yeah. And I jot it down as a creative. I just jot it down in my notes and I put my phone right back in my pocket and I return to the present moment.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I use my notes. And then so a lot of times what I do for podcasts too is I'd have a piece of paper and I'll write like bullet points, like 10 things, 5 things, whatever, just whatever kind of pops into my mind. And I don't even have to like really read it during the podcast. Like a lot of times I'll just have it, once I wrote it down, it's there. And now it's kind of fresh in my mind. And those are kind of, and your brain remembers, you got to give your brain a little benefit of doubt. Like sometimes you might stand there and like look at the wall for 4 seconds and you're going to be like, but nobody cares, man. Like, so it's, like for me, like when I'm talking on a podcast, for example, I know that my guest isn't going to matter if I like stumble over my words. Like I know he's not going to care if I'm like, oh, let me kind of remember what to talk. My brain's looking for that thing. Like just give your brain a second. I think we get hard on ourselves. Like I know me, like it's probably stemmed a lot from like I was the youngest of 4 kids, like before that. So I imagine that like getting that word in was really difficult for me. Like trying to like get my voice heard, get like my opinion out or whatever was probably stomped out being the youngest of 4 kids.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I find myself trying to like rush through or like talk too fast or try to like make sure I don't say the wrong word or whatever. But a lot of times you just slow down, say what you're at, like in the little notes that you took earlier, like they're going to populate, just give it a sec, just give it a little breather for me. And I feel like you do that pretty well too. So
yeah, from thinking about what you're talking about and like you do this and that and this and that, like because you're entertainment, you're technician and whatnot, and like you're just getting pulled this way and that way, like thought process. Like I just like very, it has to be very creative. You know what I mean? And like, and it's so round. Gosh, I can't even talk. I'm so jacked up on this cap. I already had like 2 or 3 cups before I got here.
Well, man, this is my second cup too.
But you're so like just everything just going and just like I don't know. I just if because sometimes I get like that, and I just can't go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Like my brain like just goes, and I just couldn't imagine like it's your job. Like you know what I mean? That's your job, and like I just couldn't sleep.
Yeah,
I might get like 5 hours of sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I learned to work with it. It's kind of this funny thing. I almost have to like, it's like I'm like on or off a lot of the times. Like I've got to, like, I mean, it's kind of the thing like for an artist, like imagine you're like a singer and you have like this music video, and like the music, we've seen music videos. Some of them are just like, they'll make you cry. It's like this incredible piece of art,
Heck yeah.
But like in order to communicate that properly, it's not just like following these things. It's like the creator, the person behind the scenes, the singer, the one writing the songs, one making the video, whatever. They have to get there. Like they have to like push themselves to that emotional level. They have to lock in on that emotion that they're trying to express to the world. And but then you also have to, so like you got to be a creator and like push your mind in these crazy, insane ways. But then also like sometimes 15 minutes later, you got to go sit down at a dinner table and you got to be professional with a tie on. You know what I mean? Like, and it's sometimes it's hard. Like, sometimes I'll be here for like quarantine, for example. I didn't see anybody for like weeks and weeks, if not a month. Like, I'd see Shaylee, she comes home from work. But I remember I was just in this creative, like, I was doing well, creating and drawing and doodling and making music and playing piano, whatever, all my creative shit.
Yeah.
And then I remember I went to the weed store and I walked in and I literally just like a robot, I was like, I like just said my order. I was like, quarter, flower, indica, this price range. And I like said it and I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry, dude. Hi, how are you? Hello. I'm sorry, I haven't really talked to somebody for a while. Because we get in these different like mental states. And I bet you that you have that a lot when it comes to like working out. Like I always think of like those post-interview videos of like UFC fights, and then like they interview the dude who got beat up, and they're like, so how do you feel? And he's like, he's trying to like formulate his words after like a UFC fight. Yeah. It always seems crazy. So do you ever have, when you're powerlifting, like, do you ever have to like get there? Like, I mean, I know you were talking about like you guys sniff the ammonia or the, it's ammonia. Yeah. And then, do you also like, do you listen to like Slayer and shit before you lift? Like you get there?
Well, so it's so different. Like if I'm really going to get there, it's something like kind of sad. It's I was like, dude,
you gotta figure yourself out,
bro. It is like deep. Like, let me see here.
Wait, you listen to sad music?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love that.
It sucks.
I can send you some playlists that I run to. I love running to sad music.
Yeah. Oops.
That's the one.
No, that's not the one. That's Greta Van Fleet. I was listening to that right before I got here. No, it's like, I don't know. I dig deep, like really, like how I said, just that mental aspect of that, like the sport. Like I take it more than a hobby. It's my lifestyle. It's like I chose to do this. I'm not going to be in this sport very long because I'm just getting older and journeying out next year, and it takes a lot of your time, like hours. So you're training for 2 to 3 hours. And I'm not talking about just sitting there bullshitting. You're going. I tried not to talk to anybody, but
yeah, you're in the zone.
When I'm actually in prep, I lose between like 20 to 40 pounds. I get in my weight class. I don't care about looks. Like I might have a ripped 6-pack, but I don't care. That's not what I'm going for. I need to be in my weight class. I need to be in that weight class. I need to be strong. I need to be well fed. There's nothing non-nutrition. There's no donuts going in. There's just straight beef, vegetables, rice, some brown rice. Like just kind of cut it up. It's super plain. Most of the time, because we're in the trades, we're out and about. We don't have microwaves. I'm eating food cold. I'm eating rice and barbecue sauce and hamburger and vegetables cold. Like it's just there's no microwave. I haven't had a microwave in at this job for at least 2 or 3 months. So when I have come home, I'm like, chicken. Yeah, no chicken. I don't believe in chicken at all for at least powerlifting. If you're in bodybuilding, you want to get that lean in. But I'm not about lean. The beef. The beef has more iron, more calories. You get some 93.7 or you can go to Matt's Meats and get whatever, like what kind of like the leanness of the beef you want, or you can You don't even have to have any fat. It could be 100% beef, which it doesn't cook very well. You got to have some fat to cook in it. But just the nutrition, like you talk to any of these like bodybuilders and stuff, like a lot of them like are switching to beef, super lean, unless it's like right there at the show and they have a short prep, they'll switch to chicken.
Okay, so I lifted for a long time, but I don't think that I super had like much of like a mind body connection. Like a lot of times I would go in and lift, like granted, like, so even when I was like extremely depressed and extremely like sad, I would go in and I would still lift pretty much every day. But a lot of times mine would almost be like this, like reinstalling my armor or something. Like it's kind of hard to like conceptualize, but like I would go in for that pump. Like I'd take pre-workout, I'd go in and like, I want to look big and I want to look tough out when I leave. That was something like I loved. And you know, that's cool. Like sometimes those are great. Those are great days. Sometimes you just like, I'm feeling a little weak and I want to be a strong guy today. It's going to make me feel a little more confident. Sometimes that's cool. But, I think that I was missing out on a lot of like the mind body connection. And now with my little skinny yoga body, I don't know what you're laughing at because we can arm wrestle. I mean, I'll take you out.
Those guns, bro.
You better watch out. No, but the mind body connection, like it's for me, it's like a little more in depth. It's more of like a spiritual thing when it comes to yoga. But I think like any mind body connection, anybody working out is kind of a, however you typically use the word, but like it's kind of a spiritual like center thing. Like it's really, you're connecting to like your soul, and you're like your body is like pushing the edge of its limits, but you have this little voice that you're like, no, you can go farther. That's kind of like the you that you want to feed, right?
Yeah, it's all mental. It really is.
Could you talk like, I don't know, just anybody who's working out in whatever way they work out, or they're just starting to work out, they've never worked out but they want to try, like what do you think about like that mind body connection? Like what does that mean to you?
Yeah. So I would say just kind of how you're talking about, like understanding like the contraction, the eccentric, the eccentric movements of your muscles, and understanding like when you squat, like I have to understand everything when I'm under the bar, like how to brace, how to walk out, how I like to descend, like knees forward first, or if I'm squatting and that's in like knee wraps, or like I need to understand every aspect of that movement. If I don't, then I'm going to not hit death, or I'm going to fail. I understand like I get just every point of it, like just to make that lift. But it's the same thing when you're going like as a newbie, and like you're just there, like what do you pick up a weight and just start curling, understand that whole movement, and like what the bicep has two heads, like which portion of the head are you working, your quads, there's you got different sections of your quads, and like when you're doing a leg extension for your quads, understanding like toes in, toes out, and toes just pointing back, and like how it hits the quad differently, or a squat, like you do a sissy squat on a vertical press versus a little bit wider, and like what you're hitting more glutes and ass, or you're hitting more quads, just like the whole aspect of that movement. And that's how you really develop muscle, and how you actually really burn calories. If you're just in there just getting a pump real quick and getting in and out, you're not doing shit for yourself. That's just more that's more like ego lifting and whatnot. And that's how you get hurt. 100%. That's how you start getting hurt. You start just throwing random weight every week versus like getting programmed, or like looking at like the conjugate of training, or like West Side Barbell. Like they have like, there's so many templates out there just to kind of like show you, and there's so many videos. There's a lot of good videos out there of just showing how to really get that muscle mind connection and to work those muscles. So it's just when you get to that point though, when you can actually, you will feel it, like your muscle growing, and like the pump, like, that's when the pump comes, is when you really just feel, you feel that curl, that bench press. Bench press is a compound movement or a squat, and it's you can't just, it's super hard to feel for that mind and muscle connection. So as a new lifter, I'd recommend more like like just doing like flies of some sort, or to get away from or like free weights of like the curling or the tricep, just like single arm, just like feeling the muscle, slow movements. Don't sit there in between sets and bullshit the whole time, and you won't. If you're doing what I'm talking about and you're sitting there bullshitting the whole time and you're texting on your phone, you're not going to feel any of this.
Right.
You're going to sit there and look like you're doing no work versus sitting there for 10 seconds and really feeling it versus blasting it through a workout for 10 seconds.
Right.
It just, it just, that's what it comes down to though, is just, I mean, especially if you're weight loss goal, like when you run, you feel it, you know, you're feeling like your hands are here, you're feeling the movement, you know, you're going forward, and, or you're running upstairs, you know, you gotta, feeling it each stairs, or when you run up the stairs or anything, it just really feeling what you're doing, and not just go in there with the mindset of I'm here to work out, I'm in and I'm out, and just, you know, get in there and have a mindset, and I guarantee your workouts are going to be half the time just as much work every time, because I'll work out 2 to 3 hours. And I won't sit there and bullshit, but I can tell you I'm tired, but I'm doing what, you know, I'm feeling every workout, getting everything out of it what I can. Because if you just go in there half-assed, you got to do is twice as long or 3 times as long to get where you want to go.
Right.
So understanding what actually, like, the physically and mentally what you're doing is key.
Yeah.
That's the other side of it besides nutrition.
Yeah, dude, I agree. Connecting to that, the mental, it's like you can't just have your head in the clouds, like thinking about all these things and trying to ruminate and trying to solve all these other problems while you're like doing a bicep curl. Like, you know, hey, maybe there's some times where you just want to get moving your body while you're doing something else. Sure, that's cool. But I think like giving yourself that time, like how you say, like try not to bullshit. I think what people could take away from that is like, definitely try not to bullshit, but like, what if you, when you're working out, you put your phone on do not disturb? Like, if somebody texts you, like, what if you just don't respond? If someone emails you, what if you just don't respond? Like, what if you don't ever check social media in between your reps? Like, try to be centered. Like when you're resting, like maybe as a listener, maybe you can try to like think about, why am I here? Like, oh, I'm doing good. Like power yourself up. Think about your next rep. Be like feeling your body, you know. And you were saying run up the stairs. Like, there's kind of this like, imagine being super tired, like you're kind of clumping, like, oh, it's so exhausting. And you're just kind of peeling yourself. So like, instead of, I don't like let myself get to this where I'm dragging my body. Like if I feel that I'm dragging my body or I'm kind of like limp running or whatever, I try to remind myself mentally, like, oh yeah, you're working out. Let's go. Let's give it your all. Let's find your edge. And I'll straighten my posture. I'll be like, okay, where do I feel this? Yeah, my legs are sore, but like, could I flex my abs a little bit more? Could I kind of put my mental focus on my core as I'm running, and maybe that'll help me get a little bit more of a well-rounded workout. Yeah. Just basically like being here for your workout is something that, you know, often a lot of times, and it works sometimes, I think it is beneficial, but not every time, is putting something in your headphones and like floating away, like daydreaming about whatever you can while you're working. And like, that's great, and a lot of times it gives you that pump up, but there is this like mind-body connection that sometimes you can miss out on. Like for me, like I was saying, I would kind of do the ego lifting. Like I would go in and just get that pump and I would feel good. And a lot of times that was like my armor. Like I was like, I felt, you know, I felt like I had like a strong snail or turtle shell around me, you know, if you're feeling all pumped and lift and whatever. But I don't know, man, that connection, that like, hey, this is my body, and like I want to take care of my body, and I want to explore my body, and I'm allowed to explore my body. This like, I think that the way that we look at like weight loss, or like, okay, I have a vacation coming up, so I want to get shredded, because we're always thinking about, you were saying you don't really like care about how your body looks. It's like, oh, if my lifts get me to have a six pack, and that's just a symptom. That's just what happens. That's just work ethic. Yeah, that's just the product of what I done. Yeah, it's just something. It's not something that you're going for. And I think a lot of people, I mean, speaking from my lens of someone who's been working out, I'd been working out since the 10th grade. I was working out I'm a huge advocate for people with like depression and anxiety and those sort of things to work out. I had depression and anxiety, but I was still working out. And I think that the way that I was working out, the ego workout was actually like harming me a little more than anything. Like I could have been, and now I have, I'm not like, I have weights out in the gym or in the garage and stuff. And like, I'm still going to work out, and I like doing cardio. I like doing yoga. I like doing anything active. But it's a different way of working out now. Like, so when I go back into the gym, it's not so much like staring in the mirror, like trying to just visualize big guns. It's like, I'm feeling this connection. Like I'm pushing all corners of my feet firmly into the ground. I'm trying to like really watch my posture best I can, even if you're just doing a bicep curl. So I think, and there's all these different variations of it. Like you lock in, like you got your headphones on. You're like, I'm not having the bullshit sessions. Like I'm here to work. I'm here to accomplish my goals. I'm here to push my body. Yeah. Yeah.
No, 100%. And then the other aspect is how you're saying, like you kind of harm yourself because you're just there for ego and whatnot. And that a lot of people do. It's an outlet and whatnot to get away, but also, people bullshit. But more mentally though is just it really affects how you look on life. Because you see like a lot of people cocky, they're like pumped up and like just more of a shield. Like you just walk in there like
shield,
like
right?
it's like the no lat syndrome. People are just walking around like this. I'm like, what's going on? It's like, but there's more going on there. And it, a lot of people don't realize, or as a relief, you go in there just to relieve yourself, a little bit of aggression, and whatnot. And then, if you really want to throw a little spin on it, it's this whole COVID thing, dude. Like, a lot of people went nuts because they didn't have an outlet. Or to go work out and whatnot.
Yeah,
like I know
energy somewhere.
I know a lot of people did, and they tried to go, they tried to go hiking, and they got closed, and then all these state parks and everything, and then they just didn't have an outlet, and you got people had to go see like counselors and like get on meds, and they just and they start drinking more. There's people. I mean, it's in the newspapers. Like people were like drink too much, kill their liver, dehydrated themselves, and they really had to deal with what's going on with themselves, and because they didn't have an outlet, and it messed a lot of people up.
Right.
And oh man, yeah. Because I got there. Luckily I was able to lift still, but not on occasion like I like to, and I still. But for me, I already dealt with a lot of things, but it was more for me for an outlet of dealing with more other stuff around me. I had more time for what's going on, which I was lucky to have an opportunity to have.
Yeah, I think that anybody like, hey, listener, if you like any way that you can get into the gym, like don't go thinking that now, I suggested these things, like really try to connect with your mind body. Don't go thinking that just because you don't really know what that means that you're not ready for the gym. Like whatever gets you in there, whatever gets you started working out. And then you can, you talk to the people, you get some advice, you can start reading on Reddit, you can start reading on forums, start like learning a little bit. That's the thing, this podcast, knowledge is power. It's like the more you kind of like let yourself dive into these things, the more you can learn about it and how it could affect you, channeling that energy. Like I'm someone who's like a very I'm usually pretty go. I have this like energy that I've got like channel into an activity, like whether it's creativity or like sometimes I got to run because I'm just feeling like too antsy. Yeah. Find that thing, but then while you're doing it, just try to like be present. Like what am I doing here? Like what am I as you're running, as you're working out? Say what do I want out of this? Like am I just protecting this armor? Am I just trying to get this armor? And if that's the case, that's okay. That's where you're at, and not, go from there. But as someone who, that you talk about that armor, for me, man, it's like it rings so loud to me because I was the skinny guy who was out on his own when he was very young. Yeah. And so my protection, like I would be walking home from school or walking to school or walking to work, and I'd get beat up. Like, so to not get beat up anymore, I'm going to hit some weights, so you're not going to fuck with me. I'm going to get tattoos, so you're not going to fuck with me. That was kind of like a lot of my personality was built off of a lot of that. And I think now I have, you know, I'm 28 now, and I don't know, I don't lift as much, but I just have like this connection to my body. I don't use it as this like armor, you know.
Yeah, you look way more healthier. Yeah. I would say like 4 years ago, you're trying to add on the pounds. But you were doing all this other stuff too. You know, you were just trying to get in just to get out. I remember that. Or no, it was longer than that. Shit, I can't remember exactly, but I just remember that. And you start traveling for work. You look so tired coming in, and you're trying to come in like every day. And that's
I didn't like give myself breaks. I didn't like taking a day off. No, that wasn't good.
Yeah,
you gotta rest.
Yeah, exactly. And but now, like you found that mean, just of in between like work, actively working your brain and then working out. Like, it doesn't have to be there. Like, you're killing it every time. It's you're going, you're feeling what's going on, and you're getting the workout, and you get done. You don't need to sit there you don't need to be. It doesn't need to be more than a half hour. It really doesn't. And and don't be discouraged when you first start. Like, I got a good example. My girlfriend Rachel, she got into weightlifting. She's been active. She's always been active, always go to gym. She used to be a Platinum Fitness kind of person. Nothing against Platinum Fitness. It's just commercial and pizza and shit. But fucking fatties. Edit that out. But anyways, she was really discouraged. I had her meal prep. Like, I showed her how to meal prep, and I showed her what calories, like what actually like empty calories were, what actual calories were. And empty is like eating Skittles. Skittles is just fast sugars, shoot up your insulin and make you gain a bunch of weight. Like, that's what quick sugars do. But I'm not gonna get too much into that. But what I'm trying to get to is I just showed her a routine, so like kind of get her working out and like filling her workout, and like how to push it a little bit, and push it as in like what your body can actually do. Because for a person that likes to read, that sits, that does customer service, and like just like it's not like a labor intensive job. So you didn't get you don't get to work out your body like that and understand limits. So I showed her what limits were, and when to hit it and when not to hit it, as in like, so you're not fatigued. How you're going in every day and you look so tired, but you went in there because, that's your armor and whatnot. And then you having somebody like show you limits, and like, you don't have to push it 6 days a week. You really don't. You don't need to be in 6 days a week. You don't. You really don't. Unless you're eating garbage every day. But I was showing her a meal prep. Like, showed her all these meal preps. I've been meal prepping since I was 22 years old. Every day. I have every week, every Sunday or every Friday, I meal prep, have all my meals done. But I'm showing her what maintenance is, how to gain gain muscle and lose fat. You can do that if you're a little bit overweight and whatnot. If you're more a skinny person, you shouldn't be losing weight. But that's where like high protein, so much carbs and whatnot to give you enough energy to make sure you get through your day and your workout, and having a little extra carbs when you work out. But anyways, I showed her all this, and like, she was discouraged at first. She didn't lose weight. She actually gained weight. But that was just because you start getting water weight and stuff, and like you're stressing your body out. Working out is stressing your body out. So you might not see you lose weight. She actually gained, I think, like 10 pounds. Super discouraging. And she did. Yeah. And I had her look at the scale every day. That's not for everybody, but for her, where her mental state was, she needed that constant reminder of what she's doing. Just having something that your goal. She wanted to lose a little bit of weight because she stressed eat. She was stress eating, so I showed her I bought a scale and had her weigh herself every day. So then she understands the level of like stress. Some days she'll gain like 2 pounds, or some days she would lose like 3 or 4. But she understood where she was at, and I might I'm not with her 24/7. That'd be weird, but fucking psycho. But I showed her what she needed to do, and she did what she wanted to. But then she got more refined. She asked, you want to be cognitive to talking to whoever, or looking up whatever, like understanding like what empty calories are, or nutrition, or like a lot of people in the Northwest were vitamin D deficient, iron deficient. We don't eat enough like meat or like nice whole grain vegetables. We don't eat enough, if anything. So we're like super deficient of everything because we're on the go.
Mm-hmm.
And but it took, like, after I got her to a routine, she understood what a routine is, and not put, she puts herself just enough where the next day she still can go in and not be tired.
Mm-hmm.
And if she had like a 2-day break, she would push it that day, do squats, go run 2 miles under 15 minutes, which is nuts for a girl.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it's crazy. She can run that. I was like, what?
That's
No,
savage.
dude, most officers, they're like, their PT has to be like, it's a mile and a half under 15. She can do 2 miles under 15, or right at 15.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But she's been, we went there for like 2 years, almost 2 years, and about 6 months in our relationship, she wanted to change. She saw what I was doing, and she wanted to change her habits. But yeah, I said, it's overall, she finally understood like how she's working her body, what she's feeling, and if she's overfeeling it or she got hurt, she would take a couple of days off. It's nothing. You won't lose your gains, or you won't gain a bunch of weight. Just like this whole COVID thing, a lot of gyms are down. As long as you keep to a regular schedule of like your food or intermittent fasting, or letting your energy on other things. You guys can run, you guys can hike. We're in the Northwest, and you can do anything and everything.
Yeah.
You literally can. I mean,
Get active.
Yeah, there's so much. Like that's what I do. Like for actual recovery, I get out. I just get out. Like yesterday, walked the whole beach of like Cannon Beach yesterday. We went, and like just active recovery. Like I'm totally big into that. That's a whole different discussion. But I got out and was moving my body. If you just sit, you're not doing anything for yourself. You're not. You're sitting there on your phone or staring at the TV, and neither of those two are good for you at all.
Yeah.
There's nothing healthy about it. There's mentally and physically.
Yeah, I think that's well put, Ricky. I think that just getting something, like getting moving, getting like we're talking about, if you do this, then do that, and if you're at this level, then do that. Like something to remember is just like, it's your body, and just figure out where you're at with it. Just learn about it. Just feel it. Like go work out, go run, go stretch, and like find your edges. Like, oh, this feels good when I do that. It doesn't feel good when I do this. I feel a lot better after I do this. Like, yeah, cool. Follow that. And then you'll start stumbling into like, you'll meet people who will suggest new things. You'll be around people who like do different kind of workouts, and you'll be okay,
heck yeah,
I've done a few months of this. Now I kind of want to try that. There's nothing wrong with it. Like definitely follow your bliss when it comes to that. And another thing that I always emphasize on this podcast is motherfucking stretch, dude. And I'm not just saying like stretch right before your workouts. I'm just saying like every day. Like it doesn't have to be like a elaborate like hard workout stretch thing. For me, I just think there's some days if I don't have the intention to do so, I'll like wake up and get right to my get right to my chair here and just sit, and you work for hours. Like some people say you're a receptionist or something. Like you wake up and you kind of drag feet and you whatever, and you go sit at work, and you go sit all day, and then at home you watch TV, whatever.
Yeah.
In between that, if you could find some time to like when you wake up, just do 10 minutes of stretching, 5 minutes of stretching, like movement. And I think breath work is not even just a complicated breath work, but just try to notice, am I breathing from my diaphragm? Am I breathing out of my mouth? Am I breathing out of my nose? Like just stretching and breathing around, getting that movement, I think is a good start. I mean, if somebody's never done any sort of workout.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
And just don't stay stag, you guys.
Yeah, don't stay stag. Ricky, it's been a pleasure, my man. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast and teaching me a thing or two.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet, man. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, listeners, get in that gym, lift some weights, drink some water, and take care of yourself. Later.